Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Masters Muscle podcast. Of course, I am joined by Mr. Masters Muscle, Vinny Galanti. We are kind of changing it up a little bit tonight. We are going to go ahead and do a open Q&A from the listeners, go back to basic, tackle everything from nutrition, diet, supplementation, anything and everything on and off the record. Vinny, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It's a pleasure.
And so first off, you've been on the podcast circuit a little bit. I know you did something recently with Frank Seppi, John Romano, and I forget who the third person was.
I apologize. Yeah, I forgot his name. I don't know. But yeah, I saw it. I went to Gym Con about 3 weeks ago. That was down in Orlando. I wanted to, just see what was out there in the business world, see if I could learn anything.
Yeah.
And I actually had a good weekend. Met Frank. He approached me and said, "Hey, let's do something, little interview for Muscle and Fitness." And then that escalated to him inviting me onto his podcast, which was pretty cool for Muscle and Fitness.
And then this week you were on, I think, Muscle Discord. Was that the other one?
Yeah, Muscle Discord. Great turnout. I had so many people reach out to me after that one. So it's pretty cool that I'm getting on some podcasts. But nothing's better than Masters Muscle. Can't even say my own.
And obviously down in Orlando, you train with Cheryl, you train with Jimmy. I mean, anybody else or good times, obviously?
Yeah, you know what? Jimmy was nursing a sore back. Okay. And he actually thought I was coming down the week before. He was like, "Hey, I'm ready. Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm still home. I don't leave until next week." He said, "Oh." So, and then Cheryl and I hooked up for a back session, and she trains really hard. Wow, she's just awesome to work. I mean, I'll tell you, like, if I lived down in Florida, I would pick Cheryl as a training partner any day. She trained,
really?
Yeah, she trained hard. She was really into the workout and eager to learn and eager to, like, just grasp any knowledge and just adapt it to the workout. It was great. We had a good workout. And then, I mean, so Jimmy didn't train, but Jimmy put me through legs.
Okay.
Yeah, so he tortured me a little bit with some drop sets and all that fun stuff that we used to do back in the 90s and 2000s.
Cheryl was interesting because she was texting me. She said, "Oh, Vinny's coming down. I'm really nervous. I don't know if I can hang with him." And I'm like, I said, put him to shame. And obviously it sounds like you guys had a good session.
Nah, yeah, she's good people. Yeah.
So, but Vin, we got a ton of questions here to start off. I'll just kind of randomly go. I want to say thank you to all the listeners and the followers of both Vin and I, and we'll do our best. And anybody watching now, feel free to contribute live. So Vin, we'll start off here. We have, how to properly warm up, light weights, high reps to get the blood flowing. How do you start your workouts?
So I this is a topic that I'm always debating with people because a lot of people come into the gym and go, "It's 90 degrees outside. I'm warm." No, that's not warming up. Or it'll be dead of winter and they'll say, "I did cardio this morning. I'm already warmed up." No. So here's how I apply warming up. You have the muscle group you're going to train, right? And that needs to be warmed up. But also, I think it's a good idea to spend 5 to 10 minutes on a bike or a treadmill just to get your heart flowing, get your blood flowing, a little bit, get the heart pumping, get just a tiny little perspiration going so your body's warm.
Yep.
And now your body is warm. Now you can take that over into the workout. So whatever exercise, whatever body part you're going to do, me personally, so let's say today I did back today, and today I did the low row on the hammer, and I focused on just 145 on each side for 4 sets of 10. Okay. And all I did was squeeze the hell out of my back on each rep, did 10 reps, and I stopped the set. It wasn't a failure. It was not a challenge at all. But by the time I got to the 4th set, my back had a lot of blood flowing in it, and I was feeling good. Mm-hmm. Now, from that point, anyone can go to any other exercise, or they could stay right there and start there. That doesn't mean you need to use one machine or one exercise as your warm-up. You can warm up on anything and stay there, right? So, I think that a lot of people don't respect the warm-up, and the younger you are, you definitely are not warming up. right?
Of course.
And then the older you get, you make it a chore. You say, oh my God, I got to do this. But you know what? You end up having a great workout when you're warm and when you're all full of blood and you get a good pump. You have a better workout. So take the time, 5-10 minutes on a little piece of a cardio equipment, and anywhere between 3 and 5 sets on any given exercise, just to get the blood flowing, get the muscles going, so that way you can try to avoid injury. Because listen, I'm nursing a little injury right now myself, and I think that we tweak things when we're least expecting it, and when like you could do something stupid and brush your teeth and throw your back out, right? I mean, how many times have you heard that? So yeah, I highly recommend warming up. I don't care how old you are. I think you should warm up. The younger you are, you're going to warm up a lot quicker, and the older you are, you got to take more time to warm up, and just have patience with it.
And that's kind of the running joke. You're old when the warm up is just as long as the actual workout.
Or longer. Yeah.
So here's another one, Vin. Do you believe in top set stuff in today's training, or just go in and do it? I'm not familiar with that term, top set.
The top set, I think, he's referring to. I think my friend Scott asked that question.
Okay.
The top set would be your last set. That would be your maxed out set. Here's the thing. We have way too much information, way too much knowledge, if you will, on how to train. And back in the day, we had 2, maybe 3 guys in the gym that were advanced, and you kind of like did what they did, right? And I think that we're smothered today with all of this information that is readily available on your phone at 24/7, and it can confuse the hell out of people on how to properly execute your sets, how to start and how to finish. And here's what I say. It all goes back to the warm-up. So ever since I came back from my shoulder surgeries, I have developed a routine where most of my workouts are in the 5 rep range, but every time it's increased the weight a little bit, or let me see if I'm comfortable with that weight, and then I'll do it again. So sometimes that top set. Okay, let's go back to, this is just my opinion. This is just my own experience. Back in the day, you used to say, one day we're going to train heavy, one day we're going to train lighter. And I never believed in any of that stuff, because what if how many people are listening to this right now that could say they're driving to the gym and they feel horrible. They don't want to work out. They're not motivated. Mm-hmm. And then they get to the gym and all of a sudden they have the best workout. They have the best lifts. The numbers are going up. They get the greatest pumps. And then there's those days when you're just feeling like, I want to kill everybody in the gym. I want to destroy everything. I'm going to feel great. And you have a shitty workout. Right? Yeah. So when you say top sets, I think what a lot of people miss, there's like this fine line between science and bro science with that. And it's the intangibles, the things you can't see, that you have to apply to your training. And so the top set could be, I don't know, balls out, drop sets, whatever, but you're pacing yourself to get to that top set, to that last set. Yep. And I find that a lot of times when I've tried that technique, I find myself holding back too much in the other sets. And then sometimes I feel like they helped a lot. So it's the intangibles, it's the bro science that takes over. And I'm a firm believer. Listen, I don't know one guy on any fucking pro stage from 1940 to 2024 that can preach and say, I train scientifically and bullshit. It's all bro science, bottom line. And so if you are tied down to a certain way of thinking that you're going to follow somebody's scheme of into warming up into a top set, you might hold yourself back.
Yep.
Have fun with your training. Enjoy your training. Yeah, knock yourself out for your top set, which I don't even really know what that fucking means sometimes, right? So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I just take my last set to failure. That's what I do. Like today when I trained back, I was doing the one of the hammer rows, and I worked my way up to. And listen, I have 14 anchors throughout my shoulders, so I'm not the one who's going to impress people with how much weight I can lift. So, but I'm rowing with 345s on each side, and that was my top set, and it was a fifth rep, 5 reps. That's all I
Yep.
could get with it. I probably could have squeezed out 6, but it would have been really bad form. I put the weight down, and then I took some weight off, and I ended up with a 45 and a quarter for one set. I kind of got close to 12 or 15 reps, really super slow, and just get
Yep.
some blood in there. That's my top set.
So are you saying, so do you subscribe to the fact of maybe on each set is to not go to failure, kind of maybe leave a little bit in the tank for that very last, like that fourth or fifth set, or just go failure each set?
Sometimes you can go to failure in each set. Sure, why not? I mean,
Okay.
sometimes you walk into the gym and feel like that's what you want to do, and there's
Yep.
nothing wrong with that. My point is that there's so much information out there that confuses people that you can't train a certain way. You have to train within these confines, within these walls, and you can't break that.
Yep.
No, no, there are no fucking rules on how to train. The bottom line is don't hold back. And sometimes you want to pace yourself to challenge yourself with maybe a heavier weight, then hold back a little bit with those reps. But
Yep.
there are a lot of times I train just in the 5 rep range, and that's I think now that I'm older, it enables me to train um, safer and healthier.
Yep.
Um, and then I could also challenge myself with some heavier weight that I never did in the past.
Mhm.
So have an open mind when you train. That's all I'm saying.
So with all the information that's out there, let's face it, it's tremendous. It's a rabbit hole. Are there things that people should look out for, or are there any certain people that you say, listen, that you would kind of maybe put your stamp of approval, say, look, if you want to look for a program, look at this person's program or this person, or
I'll say this. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Every single training system works. Every single one of them.
yep,
And every single one of them doesn't work. So you're going to get to a certain point where your body is just going to need a change. It's going to need a different kind of stimulus. Mike Menser, amazing trainer, and his workouts are like some of the best ever out there. Then you got Hani Rambod with the FST, right? FST?
FST7, yeah, FS7 or FST7, yeah.
Amazing. But there's times when you need to have. I think we're short on common sense, and we're just waiting for the next guru to tell us what to do. And
Yep.
I don't believe in that. I believe in going to the gym, try whatever Hani Rambod says on YouTube. Try it.
Yeah.
Try whatever you read on Vince Garanda and how he trained back in the 60s and 70s. I mean, there's so much information out there on how to train. You cannot, and it will not, the wheel will not be reinvented. There's nothing new that a trainer can add to anything today. Like
Yep.
it's just tweaks of stuff. That's all it is. It's just a different variation of, like the commercial says, I put things down, pick things up, right? It's like that's all we do. We do it to the point where we stimulate a good muscle, a good pump.
So how long should somebody try a program before kind of tapping out and maybe moving on to something else?
I
12
always
weeks,
like to
16
go.
weeks?
How many?
Tops are 12 weeks, 16 weeks?
So I like to go month to month.
Okay.
That's something that I like to do. So like I could tell you right now, like say back in January, I was doing supersets just on purpose. I just did them.
Yep.
And then I just completely stopped it when February came, and I went back to trying to train a little heavier in the 5 rep range. And then March came, and I did more like a push pull leg routine.
Yep.
And then I just keep changing everything around. And right now, I'm finishing up again, kind of like a 4-day split, where I
Okay.
do a push pull, but I leave arms for a 4th day. And then
Okay.
come June, I haven't figured it out yet what I want to do, and it just keeps me fresh because I
Yeah.
want to go into the gym and enjoy the gym. I don't want it to be. I don't want the gym to control me. You know,
Yeah.
like I got to do this. I go into the gym and I know exactly what I'm going to do. In my head, I know like what I want to start with, and then that might change. You know, that's what a
Yeah.
lot of people should do too, is realize that just because, all right, I'll give you an example. I have a client that I just gave a leg routine to, and I haven't spoken to him yet, but he texts me, and you know, texting can be so like abrupt sometimes, you know.
Yep.
And his text seemed very abrupt, where he was basically saying, "Don't ever give me squats again.
Jeez.
Start the leg workout. I wasn't warmed up." Now, that's where you need to have a little common sense to say, well, if a couple of sets of what I just recommended didn't get you warmed up, maybe you need 3 or 4 more sets.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you need just a little bit more. You got to think outside the box sometimes. People don't think enough, and you can't be married to an idea. You can try the idea, and then, oh, this doesn't work. I don't feel it.
Yep.
I did it back in the day. I would do exercises because that's what was written in Iron Man or Muscle and Fitness and Flex, and you do it because that's what the stars were doing. And then
Yep.
you start to realize, like when I was growing up, everybody bench pressed, and I got under the bar and never felt it in my chest. And guys would break my balls, and I'm like, well, I'm doing a dumbbell because it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, the last thing that I'm worried about is somebody making fun of me for doing an exercise or not doing an exercise. I could care less.
Yeah.
I don't follow the crowd ever with that stuff.
No, I know you've always kind of went to your own drum, and that's why I appreciate you for it.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean, and sometimes I paid the price, where I've gotten hurt. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest here. The 2 times I trained with you, you were very slow and methodical, not doing crazy weights. And since I worked out with you, that's kind of the way I follow it. I don't go low reps. I go higher reps, and I'm slow and methodical to really just feel the muscle.
So now take that idea and try doing just 5 reps and increase the weight.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to that your last set, your top set,
Yeah.
go balls out.
Yeah.
Try-
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Another one here. Cardio before or after lifting?
You know, for a million years, everybody was against cardio before training, right? And you know, there's all the scientific reasons why you shouldn't, you know, burn your glycogen stores and all that stuff, right? Before a training session. And as of late, I've been seeing a lot of people do cardio beforehand, especially like older people. And when I say older, 40 and up. And I think that it enables people to warm up better.
Yep.
Right. I have seen my own competitors do cardio before training, and they've gotten in great shape for shows. I'm not 100% sure like the science behind that one. Like what's written on paper for that could be a debate to say cardio should be done after training to get the best benefits.
Yep.
But I haven't seen. I mean, I'm old school, Sean.
Yeah.
And I like to stick to like a lot of the old school stuff, and my thoughts have changed on that one. I'm not 100% against it. If that's what, because a lot of people don't have time sometimes to get the cardio and they want to get it done, because when they're done training, it's like, I don't want to be here anymore and do cardio. I want to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think you hit it on the head, though. I think people have that bro science of, I don't want to do cardio first because I'm going to expend all my energy and my workout's gonna suffer.
Yeah. I just saw a clip with Seth Feroce, and he did like I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right.
He's ferocious. Yeah, he's crazy.
He's great though, but he tells the truth, and he tells like tells it like it is. And he just went on this whole rampage about bro science and just the intangibles of all of that, where you can't feel, can't see,
Yep.
and debate and like debunking, like, and that's the way I've always felt. The more you put an emphasis on having, and I want to say this the right way, I don't know the right term or word I want to use, but I'm going to say it this way, for lack of a better term. If you put a limit on your training, you'll never know what you can achieve. And a perfect example, and I hope, and this is about Sean Clarita, and this is complete respect right now. It's not, so anybody don't twist my words and don't misunderstand what I'm saying. If the 212 division didn't exist, would Sean, and I've said this before, would Sean Clarita be Sean Clarita? Meaning, would he envision the physique he has currently today? Because let's put it this way. The stature of Sean,
Yep.
if he's
5'2",
against, right, if he's against these guys who are 5'8" to 5'11", he's going to think he can't compete against them, and he's never going to push the envelope.
Mm-hmm.
And if you come out of it and say, oh, scientifically, he can't do that, and talk like you're smart, and like, no, bullshit. The motherfucker dug deep and just created a physique that's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Right? So there's your answer with bro science and science. I mean, the guy trains hard. He's meticulous with his nutrition, and he has a belief system like no other.
Yep.
And that's intangibles.
Yeah. No, I agree. Best nutrition advice for a 52-year-old man to make or to gain lean muscle gains.
It's the same for everybody. There's really no guideline, right? Just I think, like, for me at 57 now, when I started to compete again, when I made a comeback, it was 6 years ago. So I was 51 years old, getting back into the game. And I started to realize that for some strange reason, I was able to process carbohydrates better now in my 50s than I was when I was younger. I didn't need as many carbs.
But is that because of your system or because you know your body better now?
Who knows? I don't.
Okay.
Maybe I'm a bigger bodybuilder. I have more mass. I have no idea.
Okay.
But ironically, as I'm older, I could not get away with. I've said this, I think, before. I can't get away with having high amounts of protein anymore. Where I can get away with anywhere between 8 and 12 ounces of protein per meal, digested properly, have no issues with my digestion. Stomach would be flat, not a problem. Now that I'm older, my protein has to stay around between 6, maybe 7 ounces per meal.
Okay.
And I think that older guys, I don't know. I can only tell you what I'm experiencing. I like to rotate my carbs, and that's how I keep my body fat down. And then I like to have high carb days for long periods of time and rotate my carbs, and I keep my body fat down that way. I think that however old you are, you have to be one thing and one thing only, and that's consistent. You can't have to eat 5 meals a day. You have to do it every day, all week long, all month long, all year long. I don't care how old you are. You have to be consistent. And then you have to apply proper training to that and stimulate the muscle. And then you have to also know, okay, I just killed legs, or I trained back really, really hard, and I spent an hour and a half in the gym. Maybe those days you increase your carbohydrates a little bit more.
So I know you mentioned that you had issues digesting chicken, if I remember correctly. Was that more recently, or has that always been an issue that, like, you didn't really realize until more recently?
No, it wasn't that I can't digest chicken. I just got sick of eating it because I was eating it for 40 years. But
I thought there was something that was upsetting your stomach, though. I thought there was a protein that was upsetting your stomach, though.
Yes, there was. So I couldn't figure out what it was, and I think I nailed it. It's every time I would eat ground turkey.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, every time I ate ground turkey, my stomach would just expand, and I had to switch over to organic ground turkey from Trader Joe's.
Okay.
That it doesn't irritate my stomach at all. I remember a couple times I'd go train legs, and it would be an hour after I ate, and I just had to stop training. I completely had to stop training legs because my stomach would expand so bad, and I'm like, all right, well, something's got to be cut out. So I had to do a process of elimination because I didn't know what it was, and finally I figured it out. It was turkey,
Okay.
regular ground turkey.
Okay.
If it's
So
organic,
this is an interesting one that came into me. I'm on low carbs. Better to use my, I guess, allowance before or after training.
his allowance. Is this
I
from
mean, I
a
guess if
yeah?
someone's on low carb, let's say if they're 50, I'm assuming like 50 grams a day, 100 grams a day. Is it better to have most of it before the workout, after the workout?
So this is an interesting question. Now, I wonder if this person is just continually having low carbs, or they're rotating their carbs and they're just talking about a low carb day in general. When I'm rotating my carbohydrates and I'm on low carbs, my training cycle is early in the morning anyway, so I train between meals 1 and 2, which I always have my carbs in there, and then the rest of the day I don't have carbs except just coming from vegetables, which is not a complex carbohydrate.
Yep.
So I'll have 5 or 6 meals a day on my low carb day, and then my 3rd to 5th meal or 6th meal will be just protein and vegetables. My first 2 meals will be carbohydrates. Could come from rice,
Yep.
cream of rice, sweet potatoes, whatever I'm in the mood for.
Okay.
But I really like my training. I don't put any emphasis. We didn't do that back in the day.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of. So a lot of the listeners know Maz Ali, and Maz was one of my coaches for a few years. Me, Robbie Lopez, Craig Richardson. I actually just posted a picture today of the 3 of us from back in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so here's what Maz did. Okay, wait, let me even back up further. So again, we have all this information. You can go on your phone and you could read 30 different viewpoints on nutrition, 30 different viewpoints on training, and you don't give any of them 100%, because I think that's what a lot of people do today.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little confused, and so we had nobody to be confused about or from back in the 90s. We had one person, and that's another thing. If you're gonna follow anybody on social media, follow one person, and that's it, and give it 100%, and then see what happens. So Maz would write down. This is going to bug people out. Maz would say, "Okay, get a piece of paper and write meal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Monday to Sunday across." And he would just write. So it'd be Monday, P, all the way down. Tuesday, peas, all peas, which is for protein.
Sure.
And then on Wednesday, P, PC, then PC. That means now you're starting to carb up.
Okay.
I'll see you in 3 weeks. Okay, Maz, see you later. And then that was it. And in 3 weeks, you would follow that program, and then you come back and he'd tell you how fucking crappy you looked and ridicule you and rip you a new ass and tell you you've been eating fucking bagels, you look like shit. And he'd do that to everybody. But he had our best interest in hand. Where in a sense of like, we didn't get stressed out not seeing our coach every 3 days or talking to somebody. We went about our business. We did our homework. We left. We trained. We ate the way we're supposed to eat. We made improvements. I remember one time, I think I mentioned to you a while back, like I'm a horrible dieter, and I don't like dieting for a show at all. I like my food, and it takes me about 8 weeks to get into prep. And I learned that a long time ago. And so I think it was Robbie and Craig and some other guys. They're making strides. They're changing week after week after week. And I'm not, nothing's happening. My physique, not a thing is happening. And Maz was thinking I was cheating on the diet, and he's, reaming me a new ass and, telling me to get the fuck out of the gym. But that's the way we talk to each other back
Of course.
then. It just made everything much more tougher. And, you were pissed off. I'll show you. I'll come back here and look, And it was a 6-week mark. And I think a lot of people should understand this, because not a lot of people respond very quickly. And I'm not a fast responder with the diet. Around the 6-week mark into week 7, and this has been the clockwork of my career since I'm a kid to now. It's like, boom, metabolism kicking in, and I'm like, I'm a different person from 6 to 7. And he's like, would you start dieting? And then he started, that's what happens to me.
Yeah.
Everybody's body is different. Everybody's body works a lot different, and on different timings. And, so you have to be patient. You have to stick to one thing, be consistent. And then if you're a person who gets in shape very quickly, maybe you need to start eating more. There's so many variables to get in shape. But can you imagine today if a coach said to somebody, all right, here's your diet. I'll see you in 3 weeks. Don't text me. Don't call me. I don't want update pictures. I don't need fasted pictures. We didn't do any of that shit. There was no fasted pictures. I think we saw each other like at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on just a regular weekday with food in our system, drinking half a gallon of water by that time. Like there was no, gotta see you on a fasted, get the fuck out of here. It wasn't anything like that.
So here's a question, and I don't know if it was on Color's podcast or Dennis James's podcast. Okay, if a person hires a coach, and you can honestly say, as the customer, that you are really following everything to the T. You're not cheating. You're not going off target, and you don't place well. Who's to blame?
Well, there's a lot of variables there. I mean, if you don't place well because someone is just better than you, it's nobody's fault. It's just the person was better than you. Hey, listen, I've had clients where I know they gave me 100% and I gave them 100%, and the body just didn't work the way we thought it would work. And sometimes that's just what happens. People don't put enough emphasis on stress. They don't realize that they might be under stress. Or they might be realizing that like they're way too damn serious for this sport, and they're just putting too much effort. And I mean, there's a good thing about effort, and then there's also a bad thing if you're like, I'm gonna block everything out, and I'm gonna walk into the gym and not ignore everybody. I'm gonna go train, and I'm gonna you act like a nut. Like it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, relax. You're gonna stress yourself out.
Yeah.
I always say this, just because you're at your best, and this might not answer the question exactly, but if you are at your best and you don't win the contest, that only means that somebody else was just better than you that day.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's many times, how many times we see it now, where competitors brag that they're nationally qualified and they have not even won a contest yet. Right. And now they think like, I'm ready for the nationals. No, you're not ready for the nationals. I mean, if you were in a contest that had 40 people, which I doubt, or even 14 people, which I doubt, maybe 4 people, and you come in second, you're not beating many people.
Yeah.
And you have to be realistic with yourself. I mean, like, I try to think I'm a realistic person. Like when I first started coming back and competing, 2017 was my first show, and I knew I was coming out of, it was done. The stress in my life was done, but the residual was still there.
Yeah.
I lost my business. I had to close my business. My niece passed away. I was coming back from rotator cuff surgery. I had too much shit. I probably shouldn't have competed, but at the same time, competing got me out of a funk. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to go do the Baltimore Masters Pro because I could drive to it. I can't, there's no way I'm not the same guy right now. I'm
Yeah.
not an airplane and going to go compete. I didn't know if I was a contestant or a competitor yet. And I turned out to be, I was just a contestant. And then the next year, put it together a little bit more. I took dead last again, and then things started clicking. But you have to be realistic with yourself and give it 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Here's a weird one. I don't know if you can answer this one. How do I know, not me, but how do I know how many calories I need? I know there's like calculators with BMI
Yeah,
and resting metabolism. Is there really a surefire way to figure that out?
I'm gonna get crushed on this one. I've never counted a calorie in my life. I
Yeah.
don't believe in it. I don't. I was a kid. So going back, what I said a moment ago, that I'm a horrible dieter. Um, I know my strengths and weaknesses. I know that Sean, I love raviolis. I love pizza. I love Italian food. And if that's sitting in front of me and I'm not in prep yet, you know what I'm eating.
Keep on.
I'm eating the raviolis and I'm putting as much butter on bread as I can. Okay. That's just me. It's the way I grew up. My mom fed me that way, coming from an Italian family. So it's a chore for me to diet.
Yep.
I read an article on Sean Ray or one of his videos, from his VH videos back in the 90s. And he said, either I read or he said something to the effect of that he's never counted a calorie in his life because if he had to do that, it would be really boring and he would not enjoy bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
wow, that's me. I don't enjoy this, but I want to be a bodybuilder. How do I do this? And at the time, even back then, people were saying, no, you have to count calories. You have to count your macros. Count the word macros is not new. And that people have been
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
that for a billion years. And I'm like, I don't understand any of that. And also, too, I'm severely dyslexic.
Right.
So when I read things, I have to read things 3-4 times to get things straight. And so to calculate all this bullshit calories and all that, I don't know how to do that. So one day I just said, well, let's make this as simple as possible. Let
Mm-hmm.
me have, 8 ounces, and I'm just making numbers up right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to have 5 meals a day, 6 meals a day, whatever it was. I'm going to eat 8 ounces of protein per meal. And with each meal, I'm going to have, on a scale, I'm going to weigh out a certain amount of carbohydrates for the day. I'm going to divide it by 6.
Yep.
And I just went with that. It was simple to me. And then when it was time to start rotating carbs, I could say, okay, I'm having 400 grams of carbs a day. Tomorrow I'm going to have 350. Wednesday I'm going to have 300. Thursday
Yep.
I have 200. Friday, and so on, so on. And then there were even times back in the day where I think even when I worked with Maz, we didn't even count anything. We didn't count anything. It was like, eat a potato, have a cup of rice, have a cup of oatmeal. That was it. There was the stress was not there.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
didn't stress about shit except just get ready for a show. Really, I could tell you the only stress that would happen when we trained at Bodyworks was the amount of abuse that we gave each other to pull the best out of us. Like that was the stress. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
walk into the gym thinking, who is gonna fuck with me when I walk in the door? Right? That's
Yeah.
the stress. And that was fun stress. And whose balls you're breaking and things like that.
And
Calories,
who's gonna throw up first during legs?
yes. But counting calories was the last bit of stress that any of us thought of. Nobody thought of that shit. Nobody could thought of it. Counting carbs was a lot easier.
I wonder if the whole calorie counting started with kind of the surge of true coaches, where everybody's a coach now. So to feel their value, they're going to say, look, we're going to have 500 grams of this and 200. I'd like to show more value. I don't know. I might be wrong.
No, I think you're getting warm there. I think that, okay, nothing's really changed. I mean, since John Grimmick won Mr. Universe in however long time ago that was.
Yeah.
You eat chicken, you eat potatoes, you get in shape for a show. End of fucking story, right? That's it. And maybe those guys ate a lot less than we did today. They eat maybe 3 times a day.
Okay.
But they ate clean, and it was just common sense. Like, it was just common sense. And then I think a couple of people went with the keto diet, like Vince Garanda back in the day. Had a lot of fat in his diet and all that. But again, it goes back to being extremely consistent on what you're doing, because everything works.
Yep.
And then sometimes everything doesn't work, and you have to change it. I don't know. Did I answer that right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, consistency is key.
Yeah, consistency is key. Lowering your stress level is a big key. Having common sense and just trusting your own instincts it goes leaps and bounds. But to sum it up with coaches, there are a lot of great coaches out there. I mean, there are. But then, all right, so you have Fakri, you have Hani, you have Chris Aceto, just to name a few.
Sure.
And then you have a lot of wannabe coaches that want to act like those guys, right? I'll give everybody who's listening, this is like the easiest thing. Go Google Chris Aceto 50-50 carb rotation.
Okay.
Chris Aceto 50-50 carb rotation. And that is exactly what I do for a contest.
Okay.
You can't get any more simpler than that. He writes it out. It's there. You don't even have to hire the guy. You follow that and you can get ready for a contest. It's that simple. And it's free. And people think like the coach who lives further away must be the smartest coach. I think that's like across the board. Everyone always thinks that, like, well, if he lives in California and I'm in Jersey, then he must know more than the guy that's in my gym. And I'm going to go pay $6,000 because I'm going to be a pro and I'm living the dream. Yeah, you're broke.
Oh my God. So
I'm blunt. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's what I love about you. So we've got a couple going into the gear, steroids, whatever term we want to use here. Okay. So we had one person. I'm 22 and on TRT. Should I use more tests? And first off, if you're 22 and on TRT, I question that. But again, I'll just hold that. Maybe there's a problem outside of this. But anyway, I'll defer to you.
So we are really in and I have to be blunt here, a really fucked up time with the whole steroid thing.
Yep.
Let's be clear here. TRT is testosterone replacement therapy. If you're 22 years old and you don't produce any testosterone and you need it, that's one thing. And that can only be determined by a blood test. If you're just thinking you need TRT, you're just wanting to get on a cycle. So stop bullshitting yourself and now I'm 57 years old and I take TRT. And when I hear guys who are 22 to 30 and they're like, I just got off a cycle, but now I'm on TRT and then I'm gonna cruise, then I'm gonna blast. And for those who don't know that, those terms, meaning blasting is large amounts and then cruising, you're bringing the amounts down lower, and then TRT would be, they think, I don't know what they think, but guys, TRT is still testosterone. It's still a steroid. You're shutting your system down. If you take 1,000 milligrams of testosterone and you shut your body down and it doesn't produce anymore, and you bring it down to 200 milligrams of testosterone, your system is still shut down. It doesn't come back until you actually come off. Again, can we have some common sense here? Stop the madness. If you're going to do a cycle, get blood work done, see what your levels are at, fix your internal clock, as I will use that term.
Yep.
And Don't touch anything until that is perfect again. End of story. Really, bottom line. TRT at 22, you're a moron. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I mean, it's just not you're just making an excuse to stay on steroids. That's it. That's it.
yeah. So something you just mentioned a minute ago, do you recommend, let's say, okay, not TRT, but if someone is using gear, whether it's to compete or just for whatever the reasons, do you recommend people coming off to try to normalize, try to bring up their natural levels? And if so, how long?
Of course, yeah. I mean, listen, this is a hobby, okay? And anybody who's at the top of the game right now, currently, this hobby is going to come to an end, and they have to function in life afterwards. So play it smart. However long you choose to be on a cycle, you should be off double that amount of time. So if
Okay.
you're on 8 weeks, be off 16. If you're on 16, be off 32. Really as simple as that. I just, and you know, this whole thing with kids taking large amounts and not having any framework and not even doing the actual real training that they should be doing, like the squat, bench, deadlift, or even trying other variations of it. If they don't, like, I never benched, right? So,
Yeah.
but I love dumbbell benching. Ironically, I love incline barbell bench. I was never strong in it. I think the most I would ever get up to was 225. But that movement was more natural for me than a regular bench press. Smith machine bench press is natural to me, but a barbell's not. But these guys are going in thinking it's a joke. Hey, I'm on trend, 600 milligrams. You're a moron. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I would be a hypocrite if I'd said, you know, I'm against steroids. I've used them, and I have longevity in this sport because I respect them, and you need to respect them. You need to come off. You need to clean your system out. You need to get healthy. And while you're even on a cycle, you need to get your blood work done. I know so many people who say, well, I know my blood work's going to be a mess right now, so I'm not going to do it. No, that's when you should, because God forbid it's doing something really bad internally.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you should have blood work done all the time. Pay attention. Play the game right. Stay off double as long as you run.
So here's something too, because you've been in the game for 40 plus years. Okay. And obviously you've been on gear for some time. I heard on another podcast,
Wait,
and it was
back up. I've been off probably as long as I've been on too.
okay.
So when you say that, like, I don't want people to think like, oh, I stay on steroids.
No, sorry, my apologies.
No, I just want to clear it up. So it's like, there was one time I was on for a year, 1 year straight, and I realized that doesn't work for me. And I would stay off 9 months out of the year and then only go on for about maybe 12 to 16 weeks for a contest.
Okay.
And then that's the part, I think, where I have my longevity in the sport. So I apologize.
No, it's okay. So I forget who it was, but it was a retired professional, like a top 10 Olympian. I don't remember who it was, if it was Cutler or Sarshev or somebody, was saying, I wonder, people love to brag, oh, now I'm taking 1,000 milligrams of test, I'm taking 800 of this, where back 30 years ago, the numbers were a lot less, but they're saying they wonder if the numbers are higher because there's more bunk or more fake or more watered down stuff on the market, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. But also, and they're not going to like this, what I'm going to say, but bodybuilders just fucking lie, period. Yeah. Bodybuilders lie. Everyone says they did less. No, they didn't. Listen, I trained, I've been conservative, but I hung out with guys back in the 90s who did 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 milligrams of testosterone.
Yep.
They did it back in it's not like a new thing.
Yeah.
It's not new. I mean, but those guys had a way different look back then. We all had a different look because everything was real. There was no UGL. So whatever steroid dealer there was in the gym, he was getting it from somebody who was getting it from a pharmacy somewhere.
Yep.
And today, it's, you know, when anybody says, you know, if a guy says to me, or even a female, I'm using Primobolan, I'm like, no, you're not. No, yeah, I bought it. I'm sure you bought the bottle that says Primobolan on it, but I can guarantee you it's either testosterone or masterone or some mild, maybe equipoise, it is not primobolan. There's no way, no how. Primobolan doesn't exist unless you go to the Masters Olympia and go to Romania and it's there.
So as we wind down here, what supplements do you use? What supplements do you recommend for somebody that's training? And by supplements, I'm assuming they really mean supplements, over-the-counter supplements.
1,000 milligrams of Tren. Live the dream.
10
Sweat.
scoops of protein powder.
And just 10 grams of protein a day and you'll be jacked. Oh boy.
This has been fun.
So I'm with G-Code Nutrition.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love all their products. So G-Code has a lot of good products out there, pre-workouts, meal replacements, and but one of the products that I have used for the last it's going on a little over a year and a half now is, and I swear by this, is Humanifort.
Yep.
And if you go on Facebook, you look up Emmerich Denzug. He's he is still an IFBB pro. He's in his 70s. He doesn't compete anymore. Humanifort is the secret. And that's all I'm going to say. Take it 3-4 times a day. Your recovery will go through the fucking roof.
Mm-hmm.
You will bounce back from workouts. Within a workout, you'll feel like you want to stay in the gym. That's my biggest problem right now since I've been taking Humanifort. And I have to literally look at the clock because I'm not gassed anymore. At 57, I could probably get in a good straight 2 hours of training now.
Okay.
I make sure I'm in the gym just 1 hour. I get the job done. I got to do what I got to do. But I take it before bed. I take it as soon as I wake up in the morning, and I take it immediately after I train, and sometime in the middle of the afternoon. I take it four times a day. And
did you tell me digestion was better too, Vin, or am I confused now with something else you were using?
No. Ever since I've been taking it, my digestion is better. I sleep better. I recover better. So many things. And also, the latest that I've utilized, we talked about this last time we were together, the alkaline water.
Yep.
Yeah, pH 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
Alkaline, and I get it from a guy in Woodridge, New Jersey, on the main street. The company's called Ice. I go pick it up. Since I've been drinking the alkaline water, I've actually been able to stop using omeprazole, which for my acid reflux, I have a hiatal hernia.
Okay.
The only days that I actually need to use it is if on back day, because I know there's a lot of pressure on my chest.
Sure.
It's the only morning I take it, and I'm fine when I train. So, yeah, go on Facebook and look up Emmerich Delsing. I'm saying his name wrong.
Yeah.
Humanifort. And especially for anybody over the age of 40, man, you're gonna start feeling younger again with it too. That's one of the things that I've experienced with it. And then when I say younger, like being able to train a little more intense and a little more with vigor in the gym.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. For me, I mean, when people ask me, all the newbies and whatnot, I think creatine is a good staple. And then if someone wants to get that additional protein powder, but not to abuse the protein powder in place of, actual food. But I think creatine is the one thing I always like to recommend personally to people, as long as there's no kidney issues, nothing whatsoever.
Yeah. There's another thing, goes back to me being a huge fan of Sean Ray. One thing he said a long time ago, he said, if I had, he's quoting now, we're going back 25 years, 30 years. If I had $20 and I was going to I had a choice to buy a steak and a bag of potatoes, or $20 and buy protein powder, I'm buying a steak and a bag of potatoes.
Sure.
So food overrides everything. I think that people put too much emphasis on what should I take? No, forget that question and ask, what should I eat? That's the main.
Perfect. Well, I think we've gone through everything, Vin, and I don't know if you want to share. I know you said you had a little bit of an injury. I don't know if you want to kind of share how you're feeling, and we'll kind of wind down.
Yeah, it's nothing too major. I was doing leg press, single leg press, and I felt a little flutter in my right hamstring, the muscle that's attached to the ischial tuberosity, which is basically the your butt bone, your ass bone. And I had an MRI, and it turned out that so I have a little slight tear in my hamstring and in
Okay.
my groin too. So I have a little tear in my groin too. So,
So
but
PT or just time and heal or what?
yeah, I started PT yesterday. They did acupuncture, which was
Oh, interesting.
kind of interesting, and cupping, but they did like the old school cupping with the flame.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, cool. And deep tissue massage. So I just need 3 weeks to back off on legs a little bit.
Is there the last question here? Is there anything that you regularly use that when you're in perfect form? Massage, I know you do cryotherapy once in a while, but is there anything you use continuously, modalities outside the gym?
For the longest time I was doing a lot of really deep tissue, like to break up scar tissue and adhesions.
Yep.
And I started to find out and I started to realize that I'm not recovering. Like the workouts in itself are hard. Then you got to get beat up from getting massage, and I'm
Sure.
never feeling like those things are really working for me. Like I just don't feel like I'm recovering. So I started to adapt more of a softer type of massage
Okay.
to relax the body, not be so tense from getting beat up. And it's just not. If I whenever I know I'm going to take a full week off from the gym, that's when I go and do a really deep tissue. So I
Makes
can,
sense.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
so
Awesome. Anything else we haven't covered? I know we kind of been around the horn here. Had a great episode here.
I think it was great. It went pretty quick.
Yeah. Just clearing an hour here.
Yeah. Now I
But
want to say I'm wearing my Body Bags shirt. So
yep.
shout out to Body Bags in Florida.
So we got body bags, we got G code. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to?
Um, no.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
Very
Well,
much.
Vin, it's always good seeing you, my friend. And knock on wood, we'll be back in full effect next Wednesday.
All right. Cool. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. And as always, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Masters Muscle. And Vinny, I don't even remember what your Instagram is because I know you've gone through a couple of them.
Vinny Galante _.
Okay, perfect. As always, folks, thank you so much and have a great night.